the Indian batters are right to go, I've worked really hard for the last 4 hours actually, I'm going to get 100.
How good is it to see Stokesy performing in the way he is?
He's probably England's best bowler. He's looked great. He looks knackered now. As I twisted to check the LBW, bang, rib breaks. I've still got a spell to bowl.
I've bowled 2 overs in first-class cricket.
What was it?
Right arm off spin with a bit of a kink.
Right, you got a kink, have you? I'm Stuart Broad, just back from Manchester, where India didn't just survive, they thrived. They pulled off a fantastic draw to keep the series alive. And he's Josh Buttler, just back from sunning himself in beautiful Corfu. How was your holiday, Jose?
Yeah, I've been out to Corfu with the family, which was very special. Enjoyed that. Was keeping a little bit of an eye on the test match, which obviously was another fantastic test. But yeah, I've had a nice week away, which has been very refreshing.
I got to be honest, if I saw you in an airport for just a cricket fan, I'd be like, oh, Josh Buttler. I'd look at my date and go, hang on a minute, early July here, what's going on? Late July?
Yeah,
what are you doing in an airport? Why are you not on a cricket ground? But that's just the way the schedules work now, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the way the schedules worked, and it's also the way my sort of career's panned out, to be honest. So, my last first-class game was my last test match, which was the Ashes tour of 21-22. So, just sort of the way things have worked out with opportunities, etc. of T20, and a lot of time away in the winters now, and in the summer just playing the Blast and the 100 and obviously the England one-day stuff. So the calendar presented a nice opportunity to go away with the family and have a couple of weeks in sunny Corfu. So we've really enjoyed that. But there's certainly a few sort of raised eyebrows in the airport, sort of, what are you doing here in the middle of the summer? But
you're quite good for a little awkward moments, aren't you? Did you have anything on holiday that caught you by surprise?
Well, a bit of that sort of, what are you doing here? And sort of trying to answer that in a nice way. But I think my favourite moment, so we went with another couple and their 2 kids who we were good friends with in London. We've been out for dinner and we've just gone for a drink. But it sort of seems that every sort of person who'd been in England and is on holiday in Corfu at that time and had gone with all their teenage kids was in that same place at the same time, and it was sort of they were calling me like the Pied Piper as I was walking through. There's obviously a lot of young cricket fans, which was nice. But the girls have gone off and done their thing, and me and Ben, my friend, have sat down in the corner just having a quiet drink. And a couple of sort of teenagers came up asking for a picture. They were very polite, asked very politely, but a bit nervous. And so they were sort of fumbling about trying to, get the camera sorted and take the picture. And I just sort of said, oh, Ben right here, he's actually my social media manager, so he's pretty good at taking a picture. And you get him to take it. So my mate Ben, who has nothing to do with my social media, is absolutely fuming that these people know him as my social media manager, and he's looking for a way to get me back. Anyway, while I have been away, I hear the pod's got into the national press.
It has, all our sort of highbrow comments on high-end cricket and our knowledge from within the game in one of the biggest series of all time, England versus India. We made the Daily Star.
One of the big broadsheets.
Star stinks out fellow pundits. England cricket star Michael Atherton has fellow commentators choking on his fart.
That's quote unquote.
I'm reading that from the paper.
Oh my.
Ex-England captain Tom Pundit Atherton, 57, has dodgy guts. Oh gosh. Athers is pictured just in capitals, guffs. He found out, so somehow our producer Rob Reeve had got a picture of the article and put it on our WhatsApp group, so that everyone's in the commentary box, and Athers is on commentary, and everyone starts giggling. Ravi Shastri absolutely loved it. He's like in tears. And Athers on commentary, he's like, what's going on? What's going on back there? And as soon as he came off air, didn't want to disrupt his like professionalism on air, showed me it. And he was he took it in great humour, like smiling, but you could tell he was a little bit like, oh, cheers. Yeah, cheers, great story. And he just turned to, he was like, you'll be hearing from my lawyers. You'll be hearing from my lawyers. So yeah, I think I haven't heard from his lawyers. I might still do. I'm not sure, but
was he as prolific as usual in the com box?
I'm not going there again. I'm not going there again. But yeah, it was that's our first sort of make of the paper. So we should be Daily Star should be quite proud of that, should we?
Yeah, pretty pleased with that, especially one of like sports great journalists and great writers. Michael, he must be delighted to
one of the greatest ever sports writers.
Writing and the sentence construction, that'd be right up his alley. The Daily Star,
Atherton guffs. But yeah, I mean, I suppose we should talk about the cricket. Really, I mean, it's another 5-dayer, another Test match into the final session. A bit of drama actually in the final hour. I don't know how much you saw of that, but we'll get into that. But there was so much cricket played in the Test match. I don't want the focus to be on the slightly farcical ending that occurred. But highlights of it: England won the toss and bowled again, and you thought, ooh, Old Trafford, is that a bit of a risk? Dry pitch, get runs on the board, and you try and control the game. But arriving there, I mean, you know this better than most. You've been in the Lancashire changing room. Lancs haven't won a game there, have they? It's all been draws. So even with the extra day of a Test match, 5 instead of 4, you're thinking, this is going to be a flat pitch. It's going to be hard work for the bowlers. And we're still, this whole series has been high quality batting against bowling attacks that are learning and developing, I think. So it was always going to be a bit batter friendly, but the pitch just didn't allow any result to happen. It showed signs that it might do, but it just didn't. But highlights: Stokesy, first 5 for 8 years, first 100 for 2 years, and Rooty.
There's a pretty elite list, isn't it? The 5 for 100 in the same game. I saw a little list of the people who'd done it. Both of them's done that 5 times, which I thought was outrageous.
I mean, some of the lists that popped up through that Test match, honestly, if you like your stats, it was just a dream. Shubman Gill joined a list of Bradman and Gavaskar for the amount of hundreds in a series. Rooty went
with
past...
one Test list to go.
Yeah, Rooty went past Jacques Kallis, Rahul Dravid, and Ricky Ponting while Ricky Ponting was on commentary. I mean, how awesome's that?
That's pretty cool.
That Ponting had flown in for these final 2 Test matches of the series, and just by, I want to say by chance, probably the bosses at Sky are probably a bit more switched on than that. But for Ricky to be on comms while Rooty went past him, and full of grace and full of charm as Ricky always is. Ultimately, I think he believes records are there to be broken, and next target is, I say target, I don't think Rooty sees it as that, but next on the list is the great Sachin Tendulkar, greatest it's ever been. So yeah, amazing week for Joe Root.
He's not hunting down Sachin Tendulkar, because that's definitely not the way he plays his cricket or how he sees it, but he's number 2 on an incredibly elite list with what you seem like is quite, if he stays fit, like a quite attainable kind of thing, which is absolutely mind-blowing, isn't it? To think
we run the numbers on it a bit, because we get a bit of time in the commentary box and we've got that much sort of data and stats around, and for him to do it in the 2027 Ashes series at home, which you feel like would be a dream, you at home, Australia, he'd have to go like the Clappers a little bit. He'd have to get like 120 odd runs or 130 odd runs a Test match, so average 70. So he's got to really play for that to happen. But then England go to India, I think, after that series. And could you imagine Mumbai? Could you imagine taking over?
They'd call the game off. They wouldn't let it happen.
They wouldn't let it happen. They'd be they wouldn't be happy with that.
It would just be unbelievable, wouldn't it? But when you think of, I think saw that, he got 2,100 since COVID, which is like, so he's obviously in the form of his life, hasn't he? And it's awesome to watch.
Do you sit there and think, well, it's a given, he's going to do it? Or is part of you thinking, well, he's 34 coming on 35, someone, not many players in their career have had times where they have never struggled or gone out of form or had injury problems. He's just always scored runs and always been in form, always been fit.
Yeah.
Is there any part of you that thinks, well, he might not get there? Or are you just like, well, it's Rooty, he's going to get there?
I'd say I'm sort of like 50-50. I think, or maybe a bit more in his favour. Like, I think I do think is a really good chance that he gets it. Hunger. I don't ever see being an issue with Ruti. I don't see that he's going to wake up in the next 2 or 3 years and go, do you know what? I don't have the love for batting and for playing for England. He's always going to be in the team, like even if he, did have to be playing terribly, wouldn't he, to drop Joe Root? And obviously, if that was going to happen, he wouldn't get there anyway. But I just think he's been playing so well, even throughout that period of England winning one game in 17 or whatever, when he was captain, and so much pressure and COVID and all that stuff. He's still scored so many runs throughout that period. So even if he's going through what you'd say is a lean trot, it's not kind of lean trot that I've been through where I'm sort of averaging 15 in a series. He'll be averaging 30, 35, and people are saying Joe Root needs to, pick it back up again. So he's never contributing and never adding to that tally. So that's why I feel like he's got a good chance, because he's going to have some series like he's had where he plays fantastically well, and then he's always just chipping away at. But exactly, he doesn't see it like that at all either, does he? Which I think is the great thing about him. He just loves playing for England, scoring runs for England and trying to win matches. But, maybe at the end of his career, which I'm sure he will, is go, wow, look at this list I'm in, and whether he's number 2 or whether he actually scales Everest and gets to number 1, it's going to be pretty cool to watch over the next few years.
We actually showed Ruti the list on the TV of him at number 2, and typical Ruti's like, oh, that's pretty cool. But actually, when you look at it, you're like, oh my, all our heroes, all the people like we watched growing up, he's sort of ahead of, apart from Sachin Tendulkar. It's absolutely incredible. And Mary in York actually has asked, what does Joe Root care about more, breaking Sachin's record of the amount of runs or scoring his first Ashes 100 down under?
Well, I would say he wants that Ashes 100 down under. That's probably the only thing he hasn't really ticked off so far. Breaking Sachin's record, I feel like he must be aware of it. It's impossible to not sort of know about where he is in the world game at the moment, and the fact that we're talking about it, can Joe Root do it? But genuinely, when you are around him and when you talk to him and when you're sort of in his company, it just isn't something that I get the sense that motivates him. I just think he wants to score as many runs as he can. He loves batting. He loves being in the middle. He loves scoring runs. There's a fantastic clip. I think Ricky Ponting asks him the question about, what's been the thing that's clicked in the last few years about scoring all these runs and these hundreds. And he talks through about going from sort of being quite technically focused about his hands and his head and his trigger to sort of playing the game and how he manages risk and how he understands what he needs to do. And I think he says he got in touch with Sky to send him all his dismissals from certain phases in his innings, and he's sat down and sort of as a fellow professional listening to that attention to detail and sort of work that he's done on his own behind the scenes, and obviously he's getting the results for it. It's awesome. So I just think that's his love and that's his passion. And there's only one test left of this summer now before all the focus does move onto the Ashes. And can Joe Root score 100 in Australia will be one of those things. And if he does, I think England are going to do well. I think this is the best chance England have had in a very long time going to Australia. So
yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, which is cool. But the test match, back to the test match that's just happened. We mentioned Stokes earlier, 5 for 100 and another player of the match performance. Just how good is it to see Stokesy performing in the way he is?
It's good. He's probably England's best bowler at the moment. I've got no doubts about that. He's moving the ball the most. He's able to run in. He's got a braced front leg, which he's not been able to have with a sore knee for the last few years. He's looked great. He looks knackered now, if I'm honest. He's got a sore pec or shoulder or tricep or bicep, is hobbling around a little bit. He's getting cramp in his hamstrings, in his calves, everything. It's just the workload that he's sort of gone from nothing, barely played any cricket, and then gone into 4 test matches like this, the most physically challenging test matches you could ever wish to play. So he looks out on his feet at the moment with back-to-back test matches now, Oval starting Thursday. It's a huge effort for him. It's incredible. And one thing how tired I would get as a bowler he would have to bat. He has to bat number 6 and go out and score 100 and face 250 balls or something. I just can't imagine the level of physicality that he is having to put through. And yes, he looks incredibly fit and lean, but you can see how tired he is with all the emotion of leading as well. But he's not a personal milestones man. He doesn't really care about hundreds and fifers. But there was just a bit more of a oomph in his fist pump when he got that 100. 2 years is a relatively long time for a top 6 batter to not get 100 in Test match cricket with the amount of Test match cricket England play. And he looked like he really wanted, like really felt like it was a bit of weight off his shoulders, I think. So he'd have been. Of course, we know him. He would want that in a winning cause. Hundreds and fifers in a drawn or lost Test match. The best players in the world, they don't mean anything to them, do they? But Stokesy's been awesome. The bowlers are just. Sometimes you're really happy to be retired as a bowler, and these pitches and this batting unit and just what's happened to the bowlers, the amount of overs they've had to bowl and how breakthroughs have just been so difficult to come by. Normally you get 660 odd and get a lead of 300, have them 0 for 2, and that's game done. That is game over. And India just showed outrageous mental fortitude, strength, determination, focus to then, gosh, I sort of lost count at the end. Was it like 430 for 4 or something? And there's actually, I don't know how much you saw of it, but Jadeja is on 89 not out. Washington Sundar never scored a Test match 100, is on 75 not out, I think. And the drinks break comes. So what happens in Test match cricket, if you get to the final hour, whatever comes last, 15 overs or 5 p.m, the final hour starts and then you play. And we've not had to talk about this for so long because there's been no draws under Ben Stokes. But you can either shake hands, go to the opposition captain normally or batters and say, let's shake hands and walk off because there's not going to be a result. Or you carry on and try and force a result or try and play cricket. So that final hour arrives, draw is 99% the result. Nothing else can really happen. But you do have the unique scenario that you've got 2 batters approaching hundreds. And Stokesy took his cap off and put his hand out to shake hands with Jadeja. And Jadeja went, no, I'm not going to shake your hand. And where there's been a big upset, that England are wrong, India are wrong, whatever, there's certain instances where both teams can be right. Stokes is right to take his cap off and off with a handshake. He's right. Yeah. His team have fielded 143 overs. They're knackered. They're exhausted. They want to get off the field. There's no result can happen. Also, the Indian batters are right to go, I've worked really hard for the last 4 hours, actually. I'm going to get 100. So there doesn't
Is that exactly how you would have seen it if you were on the field? I can imagine that.
No, I'd have been wanting to get off.
Broad petulance. I'd have been.
I reckon. Well, I mean, Stokesy. Then there was a bit of verbals. There was some. What's the right sort of phrase? Frustrated comments from the England fielders naturally. And then Harry Brook came on to bowl and bowled absolute filth. He bowled off spin. It was a bit of an embarrassing moment because we put the little ticker up at the bottom of Harry Brook on to bowl, 1 Test match wicket. Poor Kane Williamson caught down the leg side in Wellington. Right arm medium pace, and he run up and bowled off spin. We're like, oh, I didn't know he bowled off spin. How I could he looked like a poor man's Dan Lawrence action, so that's like sort of shows where the action was. And he just bowled like down the leg side, trying to almost get the game done if they're going to get their hundreds. So the standard completely disappeared, and I think Washington Sundar blocked one, so Stokes brought everyone in within 10 yards just to say hit the runs, get us off this field.
Yeah.
So I could imagine myself being on the side of taking my boots off, wanting to give the feet a rest. Maybe I'd said to Stokesy, I'll go field fine leg, and that fine leg would have been by the changing rooms. So when
I'm imagining you sort of probably boots off, tucked. Actually, probably you've just lobbed your boots off the field, and you're stood in your socks underneath the Indian dressing room, just berating them. Like,
Just ready to shake their hands.
Should we just go off there? The game.
Joffre had his jumper tied
you.
round his waist. Joffre had his jumper just tied round his waist like he was going to the polo or something, just stood there. But, I think the Indian batters were right to go and get... I know Stokes' whole mindset and his whole team's mindset is nothing about personal milestones. If the game can't be won, get off the field. That's how they saw it. And that's absolutely fine. And they're allowed to be frustrated. And India are allowed to frustrate them. By the way, India were well within the rights to bat for another hour, which I think I'd have lost the plot because I'd have missed my last train home. Yeah, if I was on the field, I'd have been frustrated. I'd have been grumpy. I'd have had a moan. But Washington Sundar came over and we interviewed him. And he was a bit emotional. And he said, this is for my family. This is, what a special moment, first Test Match 100. And I was like, damn right. The Test Match 100s are bloody hard to get.
Yeah.
And he deserved it. And actually, he didn't get his Test Match 100 in that last 15 minutes. Did it in the 4 hours before, where he saved the game for India.
The beauty of you just sort of sat on the fence trying to say that both teams were in the right instead of piling into the batters for the bowlers.
It was you and Liam Dawson batting, 89 not out, 75 not out. What's the play?
I'm sort of saying, even if you shook hands at that point, the value of that innings is there for all to see, whether it's 75, 89 or 103. I don't think the value of that changes, but it's actually where we're all sort of cricketers, we say, oh, we're not for the milestones and there's some of that. But, there is a big element to that. And like you say, Washington Sundar, having never scored a Test match century, is, like you say, well within his rights to say, I want it to be a Test match century in this battling cause. So I kind of see that, but I don't think whether they shook hands at that point and we didn't see the farcical ending, the value of those innings from those two players is immense to their team. So I think
you know how much we love awkward handshakes. It's like one of our favourite. It has been for 15 years. Like anytime we see one on the internet, bang, straight, send it to. Honestly, the England players were left hanging, left, right, and centre. They were all caps off, hands everywhere. When Jadeja hit Harry Brook for 6, Brookie again trying to shake his hand, no handshake.
I love this. I want a carousel on our Instagram page of all England players.
All England players just trying to get a handshake.
Yeah, just Stokes, then to Brook, then to but I can imagine. I can see the frustrations from both sides, and like you said, it won't take away from the Test match what amazing performances, and it just adds another layer to this series. There's been 4 amazing games, and one to go.
That's it for part 1. Coming up, we're going to talk about batting partnerships and substitutes right after this. Laithwaites are proud partners for the love of cricket.
Official wine partners.
That's the one. They love cricket, so do we. So they're on board.
You've got your own collection with Laithwaites.
Beyond the Wicket, series of wines by Stuart Broad, even a nice little signature there. But it's been a real passion project for me. Wines from all over the cricketing world. Great memories of playing cricket in these places. And that's where this collection came from, really. Just the memories of that, putting them into bottles of wine. And you like a little glass of wine, don't you?
Yeah, I like a glass of wine.
Keep holding
the Stuart Broad wine. Good food, good company. It's always nice to spend time with family and friends and a good bottle of wine.
And Beyond the Wicket isn't the only case you can buy. We've put together our own case for the love of cricket. It's going to be 3 whites for your love of white ball cricket, Jose, and 3 reds for my love of Test match cricket. Available exclusively from laithwaites.co.uk.
So pour yourself a glass,
settle in and join us for the love of cricket and a good bottle of wine with Laithwaites. Jose, this Test series has seen some outrageous batting partnerships, really, Duckett, Crawley, for example, KL Rahul, Gill, Washington, Sundar and Jadeja. What makes a good batting partnership?
I think there's a sort of chemistry between 2 players and 2 people that ultimately, as an individual and as a batter, you want to feel comfortable, you want to feel happy and confident at the crease. And there are certain players who can be stood at the other end that, you can't put this down on paper why it is. But the sort of understanding or even friendship you might have off the field translates really well on the field, and you can get stuck in the middle, and those little conversations that you have, you know, between balls or at the end of the overs, and someone who understands you really well and might be someone you actually enjoy training with. It might be something technical, or remember what you said, you know, at the start of the day, you were going to be, you know, really try and be positive against any width. And I think that's been one of the great things about Crawley and Duckett. Two players who play very differently. So I imagine as a bowler, must be a bit of a headache when, you know, Duckett taps one out to deep point and they swap ends, and you go from a short left-hander to an incredibly tall right-hander, and they both have incredibly different games and different strengths, different weaknesses, different scoring areas. So I think that allows them to be, as one part of their partnership, which is incredibly effective. The numbers that they're putting up, I know someone like Zach's been under pressure at times for his overall record, but his contributions in match-winning causes are great. And that partnership with Ben Duckett is obviously working. You know, they as a partnership average 45, had an incredible lick as well. So when you're talking about selection, or so, that is the dream. You know, those two guys, you're not looking at them as individuals, you're sort of piecing them together and putting them out there and go, this is what we're going to get as the collective. Those two as a partnership are doing that fantastically well. I think of Gill and KL Rahul, probably two quite calm characters in the middle. You know, I'm sure they'd be very gutsy and committed and feisty in their own way, but sort of, you know, with class and elegance and composure. So I imagine they're a really nice fit together. And Sundar and Jadeja, two sort of gritty characters, actually. I think quite seeing that side of Washington, which, you know, maybe some of the fans and stuff and the England team haven't seen him loads. And obviously his comments at Lords, and to be fair to him, yeah, he'd have got a good bit of stick out there, I'm sure. And he's toughed it out and played a great knock for his side. And so the two of them, Jadeja's been batting brilliantly. You know, it's been a real thorn in the side for England throughout the series, but there's just something about someone, and there's a feeling. I used to have it with Owen Morgan, actually. I just really enjoyed batting with him. We had a really nice understanding with each other, left hand, right hand. Saw the game pretty similarly. By the end, I'd played a lot of cricket together, so you sort of just knew what each other were going to do without having to really talk about it. It's a big part of selection. I think all credit to Stokes, McCullum, Rob Key, those guys who, it's not as simple as just looking at the numbers and putting them out there. It's how do you fit everyone together? What roles do they play within that as well? Whether it's the more aggressive role in a partnership, the guy who occupies the crease, how they rotate strike. I thought that's something England did really, really well. And you have that understanding of running between the wickets as a partnership. And Ollie Pope and Joe Root did that brilliantly. I'm sure Rooty saying how much cramp he had by running with Popey. But it's a big part of the game. Imagine as a bowler, Duckett and Crawley must be as polar opposites as you could bowl at.
Yeah, offer completely different things, don't they? Obviously, the left, right hand, different heights, hit the balls in completely different places. The Crawley stride he'll get in, where he meets the ball, is completely different to Duckett. The length he got to bowl to get Ben Duckett driving is obviously different to Crawley. And actually, another partnership I probably would like to add that we've seen a lot of this summer is the Shubman Gill Rishabh Pant, who are great friends. But that shows an amazing quality. When you have a player like a Rishabh Pant who just goes, you know, does his own thing, almost plays by numbers, you know, he'll sweep one, he'll hit one straight, then block 7 in a row. Gill plays a huge role in just letting him do his thing and not letting himself get affected. There'll be club cricketers listening to this, wondering about partnerships that they play with on a Saturday or a Thursday night, and knowing what I mean when someone else is going at the other end and hitting boundaries. Very hard to control your own brain, isn't it? And go, just play my way, do what I'm doing. And Gill is an absolute artist at it. So Pant will be charging down and whacking one into the crowd for 6, and Gill just goes, 1, cheers, and keeps going on his merry way. And there's definitely an art in that as well, isn't there?
Absolutely. I just, as soon as you said that, it just made me think of Roy and Bairstow for England at the top of the order in white ball stuff. They two incredibly dominating, powerful batters, but they created a great partnership, and that understanding at times, they just gave up on their ego. So if Johnny was off to a flyer and was smacking it everywhere, J. Roy, instead of going let's go shot for shot, and I want to catch up with Johnny and, you know, show I'm just as destructive, would actually tuck in behind him and say, you know what, today's your day and I'm going to play my way, which was still striking pretty healthy and hitting the boundaries. But he wouldn't try and compete with him and try and sort of, you know, go side by side. And lack of ego, I think, is one of those things. And just sort of going, you know, my role at this time in this partnership is to play this role. And when you've got that really
how honest
clear
would you be?
understanding.
How honest in that partnership would you go, J-Roy or Morgs, come on, man, like move your feet. What are you doing? Or why are you playing that shot? Or are you just going, I've got to build them up, make them feel positive, make them feel like motivated and happy?
I think that comes down to the relationship you have with that person, and it's different for each person. So I think there'd be some players I could say, hey, come on, you're better than that. Be other guys where you might want to do it in a different way, and they play a shot that you think looks a bit risky, and you might try and say, hey, don't forget you're so strong through this area, like that could be a good option against this bowler. So you're trying to direct them away from maybe what they were doing in a different way. But there's certainly some guys you could just be so honest with and say, you know, sort of, you're not disagreeing with each other, but hey, come on, pull yourself together, you're better than this, or you're better than that. The whole McCullum era, they talk about it a lot, about spending time with each other, not just at cricket. Get to know your players away from the game, get to know what they like to do, how they like to be spoken to, what things they're into. Because sometimes in a partnership, you're out there for an incredibly long time and you actually start talking about stuff nothing to do with cricket in the middle of overs, or what you've seen in the crowd, and sort of have a bit of a joke and a laugh about something like that. So, but that friendship, and actually it's something I look at this England team at the moment. They've got a lot of guys in that side who've now played a lot of cricket together. There's a nice number of test matches behind each individual. They're all really good friends. They obviously enjoy each other's company. They're all some really settled, top quality international cricketers within that. So I just think they're coming into this perfect kind of zone, which we had in the white ball stuff. It probably took, 2 years from that 2015 to 2019, and around about 2017, you're sort of getting into that. Everyone just knows their role. They know everyone just fits into place. It's like a jigsaw coming together, and that test side just looks exactly like that to me now, which I think is really, really exciting, especially with obviously what's to come. So
particularly the batting group. The batting group. But actually, there was an incident that Rishabh Pant got hit on the foot quite nastily. Wokesy bowled him like a slow ball Yorker. He tried to reverse sweep him.
Traditional test match shot to get
proper test match cricket. Slow ball Yorker, reverse sweep. Caught him on the outside of the boot, which actually don't really see people get hit there, really. Get hit on the toe or the top of the boot. It hit him right on the outside. And this balloon came onto the side of his foot, hobbly, looked in absolute agony, to be fair. Got a golf cart, sort of a golf cart ambulance onto the field, off he went. And, rumours were fracture or broken foot or something, but he did heroically come out and bat. And it brought up this huge debate about substitutions in cricket. And I want to pick your brain on that, actually. So Captain Stokes was asked about it at the end of the game. And in typical, he sort of sat on the fence. He went, absolutely ridiculous. Such a move would create too many loopholes. Pick your 11 for a game, and injuries are part of the game. I completely understand the concussion replacement because that is player welfare and safety. I think the conversation should stop around injury replacements. If you stick me in an MRI scanner, I could get in another player straight away. So he obviously thinks no to injury replacements. What are your thoughts on it?
I think it's a fair argument for when you put it like that. There could be, a way to take advantage of it. That's obviously extreme. I think, is there a way that you could police it better to still allow, a genuine 11v11 contest? Obviously, India are hampered by that with Rishabh Pant's injury. He bravely came out to bat again, didn't he? Which was
incredible.
Incredible. But you're getting a sub in some ways because they've got an injury replacement to then keep wicket, haven't they? So it's not like he has to go out there and keep on one foot, or they had to get. I suppose KL Rahul could have done it, luckily for them. But I don't know, what's an extreme idea? You get 3 substitutes throughout a test match, and you could use them at your discretion, whether that's for an injury or whether that's for a change of tactics. For example, you name a squad of 14, on day 5, you might bring in another spinner for a seamer, and you use that for injuries as well. And that's quite, I'm just thinking off the top of my head, it was quite a outlandish idea.
that would keep the quality of the game high, wouldn't it? Because you're able to adapt players to different
and you just say
conditions.
Within that, if an injury happens, you've got those subs there. But I don't know, what do you think? Have you had times where you think this should change?
I'm a bit with you. I think the art of being a captain or a coach slightly is in selection. So you're picking players that you think, yes, can do the job on the surface and the pitch, but also that are fit enough to get through 5 days Test match cricket and deliver over that period of time. So I wouldn't like to see players get injured like with a side strain that sometimes take 2 or 3 days to show on a scanner because of the inflammation. So very hard to prove. I think that would be difficult to replace. If I walked off with a back spasm, again, quite difficult to prove if I can bowl, if I can't. A fracture or broken finger or broken foot, broken arm, quite easy to prove that's happened in the game and you're injured. So I think I would be quite happy to lean on the side that if you're batting, you get a bouncer, hits you on the forearm, breaks your forearm, then you can be replaced by a batter. But I think you'd also have to probably name the whole 11, name a replacement or what replacement would come in for each individual player, because what you don't want to get into the situation like you had in a T20 where I can't remember exactly what happened, but I think Dubé big left-hander whacks it and maybe bowls medium pace or spin.
Medium pace. Got
a concussion replacement and I think was it Hashit Rana came in and bowled 95 mile an hour and got 4 foot or something, not like for like. So I think there's definitely teams will always look to find little loopholes or expose rules and make them better for their team. So I think you'd have to be very strict on what you're looking to do. And I got to be honest, I can't remember. Yes, I've played through pain and I've played through particularly getting bounced, it hit me in the jaw or the back and it bruises up and you've got to bowl through a bruise. I got injured at Adelaide once where I tore my ab, 4 centimetre tear through it, felt like I was sort of put a knife through it, no chance of playing on, I'm out of the game. So I can't remember sort of getting a broken hand or something that was so badly injured, but I had to carry on. I've either gone, I'm completely out this game or I'm fine, I can do the job.
Yeah, I had that actually in my last Test match in Sydney. One from Mark Wood kept low, I think on the first, or must have been the first day. And I've closed my hands too early. It's hit the back of my left hand and was sore straight away. But it's sort of like, as a wicketkeeper, you do get knocks and it is sore. So I tried to carry on. But every time I caught the ball was like, this actually does really hurt. So went off, talked to the physio about it. Ollie Pope took the gloves actually, and then we nipped around the corner for an X-ray, and had a crack or a break in my index finger on my left hand. So, in a similar sort of situation here. So Ollie Pope could keep wicket throughout the Test, and we had a sub fielder. And then have you heard it like a ring block? This injection. So when it came to us batting, I'm batting number 7. It must be. I think Stokes and Johnny are batting. And they're actually putting on together a good partnership. So there's a time of like the ring block lasts 2 hours or something and then when it would wear off and you'd have to have another. So I ended up having 2 because they'd actually put together a good partnership. It's horrible. I wouldn't say I've got the biggest pain threshold actually anyway. So I'm not trying to say I was the toughest guy in the room, but so I've had another one of these injections, gone out to bat with a numb left hand basically, and tamely chipped one to cover, I think, 5th or 6th ball, out for a duck, and just sort of walking up, what was the point in that? Getting that, and then had to have the same thing for the second innings, but luckily managed to get off the mark, so I didn't bag him.
Didn't bag him with a broken digit,
which was good. But yeah,
I've just thought of one that I had at the Oval. I think it must have been. Well, Bumrah was playing, so maybe 2018. So Bumrah bounced me, and I had all my protective equipment on, like an ice hockey goalkeeper. But it's managed to hit the bit in my ribs that wasn't protected. So like, poof! When it hits you in the ribs immediately, like wins you, sore. I was like, ow! Played on a little bit, and got off that night out, and I was sore, but there was no bruise. So normally it comes up like you know, a huge like purple bruise or something where the cricket balls hit you. So I'm looking, nothing there, but it's really sore when I'm breathing and like moving. And got back the next day again, no bruise. But and when you've got no bruise, you can't really go, "Cool, lads, look at that, bummer hit me there, it hurts." But I couldn't really move very well, so I was in the physio room, and I've still got to bowl another innings. And I was in the physio room, like watching out the little gap to the pitch, and there's a big appeal on one of our batters. So I turned really quickly to look at the TV to see if I could see it live, and I heard my rib crack. As I twisted, it just went, and I was fortunately the doctor was. I went, "Oh, doc, I think I've just broke my rib," and I'm holding it, like pinching it, and he sort of he heard it as well. He heard the crap, so he comes and goes, "Yeah, you've just bust your rib." So he'd obviously broken my rib with the ball, but it was still lodged in place. And as I twisted to check the LBW, bang, rib breaks. I've still got a spell to bowl. And I remember I ran into Shikhar Dhawan first ball, like absolute agony, bowling, absolute agony. Again, I think I had one of those, you know, whether it was sort of cream or whatever to try and numb the pain. But every single ball was disgusting. Unfortunately, Jimmy bowled really nicely. It was when Adil Rashid bowled a Jaffa to KL Rahul round the wicket. So I think that might have been 2018.
2018, absolutely.
And I barely played a part that second innings because every time I just tried to hold up an end, real pain. But fortunately, the lads got it done.
I've just thought of actually one really funny. So it's a Roses game. Liam Livingstone was captain of Lancs at the time and fielding in it must be this. He must have batted in the first innings, and then third innings of the game he's broke his thumb, broken left thumb, and we're chasing down this score. We're still, I think, it must be 70 or 80 short at this stage, 8 down. Livy's there. He's got his thumb now in a cast. Come back to watch like the last day, and he's like gone and got his whites on, and you're thinking you still need 80, you can't hold a bat, and he's got his whites on, he's got his cast, and you know those oboe wicket keeping pads? So he's now got one of these across his arm like a shield, and it got to, I think, so Jimmy's had to go up to number 10 obviously because Livy can't bat at this stage. They still need 50 to win. The Yorkshire lads, I think, about to shake hands, think, we've just taken the last wicket, done. Livy starts walking out with this oboe shield and like his bat in one hand as if he's going to some sort of Braveheart battle. And then Jimmy got out the next ball. He didn't even face the ball.
Didn't even face the ball.
Absolute gold. But they were sort of a couple of stories of people playing with injuries, which I think, we saw Stokes' comments about he'll do whatever it takes. There's plenty of guys in Test cricket who are cracking on with a few injuries.
Okay, still loads to talk about, including the Oval, Shubman Gill and Joss's filthy off-spin. Straight after this ad. Here's a question for you, Jose. How much better does a cold beer taste after a win?
100 times better.
Brewdog is now the official beer of Lords. If you're at a test match, the Blast, the 100 or anything else this summer, you'll notice that Brewdog loves cricket as much as we do. That's not just sound effects, that's an actual sound of a cold beer being opened.
It's actually called cold beer.
It is, Jose. It's a 3.4% lager, perfect for the day at the cricket. It's also got a peach variety too, if you fancy trying that one.
And listeners to our podcast can get a free glass.
It's an exclusive offer just for you. If you go to brewdog.com/for the love of cricket.
Tell you what, put the link in our episode description.
Well played, Joss. Yeah, good idea. Hit the link in the episode description. Buy 20 cans and we'll chuck in a free cold beer glass.
You need to use a code though. So at checkout, make sure you use the code FTLOC.
Yep, use the code FTLOC and you'll get a free glass on us.
For the love of cold beer, give it a try in your new cold beer glass.
So, Broady, we've had 4 tests that have lasted the distance, 5-day matches. Bowlers who have bowled a lot of overs. The Oval, the last test of the summer, dragging their weary bodies there. What does that feel like? Where do you summon up the energy for one more game and a massive finish?
Test match cricket, the series on the line still, England 2-1 up, you find the energy. What I would be doing is not really training leading into the game. I'd maybe go the day before, get my kit in the changing room, do a few laps around the ground, do a bit of visualization. But at this stage in a series, you know what you're doing. Your run-up's fine. It's all about getting rest and recovery to make sure you can fire up again in the next game. So, yeah, sort of calm down in training, just get mentally right and ready to go. But yeah, I think the Oval brings sort of great emotions, really. It's quite always been known as the final test, I suppose, hasn't it? There's always that advertisement around the ground, and you arrive there. It's such a special place to play. And I think it's special to a lot of players because it has been the final test of summers. It has been the final test of series. So you remember great experiences of winning series or holding out for a series. The crowd are always sort of on the edge of their seat because every ball matters, because the series might be on the line, etc. So it's always holds a lot of special memories for players. So it always feels a really beautiful place to turn up. And as a player, the changing rooms, particularly now, the pavilion, it's just done beautifully. So it's such a wonderful place to turn up and finish the test match summer. And, and we've been blessed. We have been blessed as cricket fans this summer in 4 test matches against India with exactly what we wanted to see. A really hard fought series, superstars from the world game doing what they do, and entertaining us all. And I think the Oval will be another absolute cracker.
Yeah. How do you find it turning up to the Oval? Obviously, it must be about 2 years to the day, probably, when you had your final day in Test cricket. What's it like going back to the venue? And on your other point, what are, I suppose that day must be your sort of, fondest memory, and thinking back to what it's like to finish a series at that ground.
Yeah, I love the place. Yeah, brilliant memories from finishing, 2 years. I think it was the 31st of July, 2023. So, yeah, this week, 2 years ago, firstly, where's that time gone? Absolutely crazy to me that's 2 years since I've bowled a ball in cricket. And I can walk into the Oval. There's certain grounds around the world, Trent Bridge, Lords, the Oval are them, where it doesn't have to be anyone in the seats. You don't have to have anyone in the ground. It's still got an aura about it. It's still got a feeling that makes you feel very happy. And the Oval's definitely one of those. I love going out to the middle in the mornings as a commentator. Obviously, I'm the different side of the ground now. Used to be change room, now press box. But love going out to the middle, having a look at the pitch, the surface, getting a feel for what the crowd is going to do. It's a whole great memories of the Oval and that, particularly that retirement day and taking my last wicket there, hitting a 6 there. But not one bit of me has thought I want to be out there again. I feel very content.
There's some tired bowlers. They probably need to rotate the bowling attack a bit. You could take your boots along this week and just...
I don't think I've got any boots. I honestly don't think I've got any boots. I've kept my bat that I hit a 6 with. I've kept the ball that I got the last wicket with, and I don't have any.
Rotated them so much, didn't you? Who knows which are your last boots, probably.
Well, yeah, a bit of that as well. I've kept the shirt somewhere as well. But yeah, it's we were taking the mick out of DK, Dinesh Karthik, actually, in the commentary box when Pant got injured, and say, what do you reckon, DK? What's he, 40 maybe? Do you reckon next test, get yourself in, out the comms box, get your whites on, and away you go? And he sort of had a cheeky smile as if to say, I could still do it. I could still have a crack.
Definitely. Well, one India player who's probably looking forward to the Oval and is Shubman Gill. He's obviously played great throughout the series. I think he scored 722 runs already in the series, 4 centuries, could become the first captain to ever score 5 in a series if he managed to. And it seems a long shot, but how's my maths? Bradman 974. He'd have to have a pretty good game to get up there, but he's had a great series, hasn't he?
Incredible. You sort of, they can't win the series, India, but you sort of feel like he deserves to, in a sense. His first series as captain, to have got 100 in his first innings at Headingley, then a big double and another 100 at Edgbaston, and I think actually I'm going to go as far as saying I thought Old Trafford was probably his best knock, coming out at none for 2 on a hat trick and just dousing the fires, keeping everything calm, and the respect he will have grown, the respect he would have gained in the changing room from doing what he did at Old Trafford. he's been spectacular, to be fair to him, and that's why this series has been so interesting to watch, because honestly, I heard a lot of Indian fans say, and maybe Ravi Shastri said, India could be 3-0 up. I don't know. They haven't won the real key moments. And we know Test match cricket is about that. Yes, they've got the highest run scorers in the series, maybe have the highest wicket takers, but it's all about winning the key moments. And England have managed to do that. I think India have won more days in the Test match for sure. But England, in their own conditions, are phenomenal at finding those little moments that just shift a Test match. And that is the crucial part of winning Test match cricket. So I don't think India deserved to be 3-0 up. They could have been 3-0 up if they'd have just won those little hours were the most crucial in Test match cricket. But they'll be coming to the Oval with a chance to draw the series. And there'll be no one in world cricket, if they do get the win at the Oval and draw the series, who could go, they don't deserve to draw the series. I think it's been one of those series that a draw, it sounds ridiculous if any Americans are listening, that when you say a draw would be a fair result after 6 weeks of graft, but it does feel like the series doesn't deserve a draw, but India do deserve something out of it.
Yeah, and I think on Shubman, I think you go back to, our first pod was one of the, he'd just been mentioned, just been named, as captain of India, and obviously everyone knew what a sort of superstar and coming man he was. But now 5 weeks down the line, to think of, the place he's put himself as a player and captain from what he's done is, I don't know if anyone could have foreseen it. I think everyone probably knew he's a top class player with huge potential, even though how good he was already. But to go and do what he's done in his first series as captain, obviously his side are 2-1 down, which I'm sure he'll be disappointed about. When like you mentioned, they've played a lot of the cricket, and if they'd just found a way in those key moments to have been a bit better, it could be 2-1 the other way, is probably how I'd see it. But
have you dropped him a note while he's been over?
A couple of times to sort of begrudgingly say, well played, good
blue
luck.
ticks, or did he get back to you?
No, he does reply. He does reply, which is nice. So that's otherwise I don't think I'd send him another message. But anyway, let's wrap that up. We've had a few good reactions, haven't we? So some listener questions.
Jose, we've had loads of reactions to last week's episode about my best bowling spells. Actually, a lot of my mates texted me going, oh yeah, episodes, me, all about me. So I tried to ignore those, but I did blue tick those. The listeners have been telling us the best spells they've seen live.
They have. Richard on Spotify has told us that his pal Gareth Davies once took 10 for 11 off 12 overs. That's right, 10 for 11 off 12 overs in the North Wales Cricket League, getting the 10th wicket on his final ball with a questionable LBW, apparently.
Deserves it.
Make of that?
Deserves it. Deserves a questionable LBW. Whoever's given it, family member, friend, just opposition member triggered, deserves it to get a 10 for. That's pretty outrageous. Incredible. Great.
I kind of want to see the scorecard.
Yeah, I now want to know more about the spell. Was it spinning? Was it seam bowler? Good catches? No space for a run out?
Richard, get back onto us. More detail, please. Anyway, and also Robert Cusack has wrote in to say he took 5 for 12, including a hat trick in a T20 once, and still managed to lose the game. Batter's fault.
You've done your job as a bowler there, haven't you? 5 for 12 with a hat trick. Well, unless the other bowlers have had a real stinker, I suppose.
Well, he's done his job, hasn't he?
He's done his job. Robert's done his job.
You'd be pretty gutted to lose the game in that situation. So, yeah, Robert, well bowled. Gareth, well bowled.
One of the YouTube subscribers has said, I played in a friendly against our local rivals who turned up a few players short. We've all been there. And we drew straws to see who'd play and help them out. The straws of justice decided they ended up with one of our junior wicket keepers, who ended up bowling and taking 6 for 3, and also caught our best batter out. So you've given them your junior keeper. He's had a rock and roll, got 6 for 3, and taking a belting catch.
So who's trying to tell him he's a wicket keeper?
Maybe he's not a keeper.
Waste.
I sort of, in my mind there, I almost want him to have started keeping, taken the keeping pads off. Give me the ball. I know how to get these boys out. He's got a weakness straight. I'll nip it back through the gate and just bang, bang, bang. I sort of hoped that he'd be opening the bowling for the first 11 on the following week.
Yeah, be a good selection, wouldn't it? Midweek to say we should probably let the youngster loose with the ball. So yeah, brilliant to hear. Thanks so much for everyone getting in touch.
Have you ever had a bowl, Jose?
I've bowled 2 overs in first class cricket.
What was it?
Right arm off spin with a bit of a kink.
Right, you got a kink, have you?
Yeah, it was a bit of the farcical kind of ending of the Test match, Somerset v Surrey on a flat one at Taunton. So we were trying to set up some declaration bowling, but I think I wasn't even considered for declaration bowling. I think it's once Surrey decided that the declaration wasn't going to get to a point they needed it to, I was then summoned to bowl even after that to just get us to the final hour. So not pretty, and
not effective.
Yeah, not effective, and won't ever be seen again. You've also been responding to our fast bowlers 11 from last week, and this is pretty fair. Lots of people have been shouting up for Alex Tudor, who once scored 99 not out as night watchman. Maybe we missed a trick there, Baldy.
Yeah, I think we did. Yeah, he was a good player. Did he bat number 3? I remember, didn't Graham Thorpe whack the winning runs or whack to 4 off the final ball of 1 over to mean that Alex Tudor needed to hit a 6 to make his 100, but they only needed like 3 to win or something, and he hit a 4 to go to 99.
No way.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like I can see him with the old scoreboard with the 99 held up.
I feel like, 99, what would I have been, like 12? I feel like he went for a pull shot, like a big pull shot to try and hit a 6 and top edged it over the keeper for 4. 99.
Amazing. If that's correct, that's great knowledge.
Do you know what's going to happen now? We'll put that on our socials, and it'll just be like a drill through the covers, and it'll be completely made up, won't it?
Just knocked a 1 for get to 99 to win the game. But yeah, fair enough. We missed him out. You're back at, we'll have to drop someone, but we'll pick choose. Well done.
Who we're dropping? I can't remember who we had. Drop me. Get rid of me. I don't like batting. The Nighthawk. Gone.
The Nighthawk. No more.
No more. Right, Jose, that's all we've got time for today. But remember, you can still listen to those episodes on your favourite podcast app or watch them on YouTube or Spotify.
And keep your thoughts coming in. Use the comments section or the form in our episode description.
And that's it for this week, Jose. We're back again after the Oval to reflect on just the most incredible series between England and India.
Thanks to our sponsors, Sage and Lathwaites, and as always, pick 'em well.